All right. This is a Board of Adjustment meeting for the City of Beaumont, July 11th, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll go ahead and have the roll call and approve minutes, and then I'll talk to everybody about the number of board members we have.
Chairman Timaeus is absent. Board Member Beaver.
Present?
Board Member Hilliard is absent. Board Member Rowe. Here. Board Member Sorrell.
Here.
Board Member Lucas is absent. Alternate Board Member Jones.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we all have a copy of the minutes from the June 6th meeting. Y'all have reviewed those. If there are no corrections or additions, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I so move to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So normally we have 5 board members here, and for an item to pass, at least 4 of those 5 members have to approve it. There can be 1 dissenting vote and it still gets approved. With only 4 board members, all 4 of us will have to approve your item. If any one of us is opposed, then it won't pass. That being said, since there are not 5, if you would prefer to postpone your item until the next month, the city will move it to next month when we should have 5 members here. So as I go through each item, if you're, I'll give you the chance to let me know whether or not you want us to hear your item today or whether you want to postpone it. So with that, we'll get started with the first item, which is file.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes.
We have the swearing in of the witnesses, please.
I'm sorry, yes, please. Miss, if you're going to plan to speak for or against any item on the agenda at any time during the meeting, if you'll stand, Ms. Smith will swear y'all in.
I would like to add to that real quick. If you do not stand, you will not be allowed to speak.
It is. It is.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. Okay, first item is file PZ 2024-149 to consider a request for a variance to the minimum front yard setback requirements in a residential zoning district. The applicant is Kent Hollier. The location is 3985 Broadmoor. We have received and reviewed a copy of the staff report. And if there are no objections from the board, we'll accept that staff report into the record. Okay, thank you. At this time, I would ask that the applicant, if you would, come forward, state your name and your address and your association with the file, and then just tell us whatever we need to hear as to why you're requesting this variance.
Mr. Hollier, if you don't mind, real quick, just so everybody can see it, I'll go through the PowerPoint, and if that way we can show everybody. Sure. On the screen is the subject property. This is the subject property with the carport installed. An alternative view to that carport. And the site plan. And just so Commission is aware, we sent out 28 property owner notices. We received 1 in favor of the request, none in opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to get a variance for this carport to
Would
put
you
a,
state your name and address?
Ken Hoyer, All Right Construction is doing the project. I'm handling the job for him.
Okay, thank you. Just tell us what your
Just trying to get a variance for the carport, setback from the street, and trying to move forward with this project.
Okay. Does anybody have questions for the applicant?
The neighbor to the left, theirs is further out than ours. We're plenty setback on the property side. So I think the only question is from the back of curb or from the property line. I don't have that measurement on me now, but the neighbor to the left is, their post is closer to the back of curb than what we are.
Okay.
So the neighbor on the left has a carport?
Yes, sir. And there's many in that whole area that's even closer to the back of curb than we are.
So the variance is to reduce the setback requirement from 25 feet to 14 feet. So you're,
Yeah, and it's probably 15 or 16 to the post. I didn't know it was to the post. I thought it was to the edge of the cover.
okay, so the 14 feet that you're requesting would be the edge of the cover?
Yes,
You
sir.
see in the picture.
Which the post is, I don't have that, but I think it's probably about 18 inch further back than that.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Could you please give your address, either your business address or your home address, for the record?
6650 Highway 69 South. And that is my address, both addresses.
Do you have any other questions?
The house to the left, do we have a picture?
Facing that house, the house to the left, the one that's in the picture, that's the house that has a carport also.
I do not have a picture, I apologize. I can confirm that there is a carport over there as well. I can confirm that for him, but I do not have a picture of it, I apologize. Yes, sir.
And they are closer to the street?
I can't vouch for that. I wasn't looking at distance to street. We were just observing the
Driving through,
neighborhood.
yeah.
And the one letter that you did get for, is it,
It says, I have no problem with the owner of this property building this carport on his property at 3985 Broadmoor.
and so the existing, the structure that we're seeing now is the structure you're currently working on?
Yes, sir.
And that's the metal structure that we see,
Yeah,
correct?
all Galvalume metal,
It'll just be open carport, like,
just, yes, sir. Just a single carport.
thank you.
Okay.
Anybody have a question?
No, sir.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move to approve.
Before we
file
do a
PC
motion, you'll need to close the public hearing.
Okay. So we'll close the public hearing for file PZ 2024-149. And the board will now entertain a motion.
I so move to approve PZ 2024-149 for approval.
There's a motion and a second. Ms. Smith, if you'll call the roll for a vote.
Acting Chair Beaver,
For it,
Board Member Rowe,
For.
Board Member Sorrell. Alternate Board Member Jones.
For it.
Thank you.
thank you. We'll now open the public hearing for file PZ 2024-152 to consider a request for a variance to the landscaping irrigation requirement in an industrial zoning district. The applicant is Keen Wilson, for the location is 1795 Interstate 10 East. We all have a copy of the staff report, which we'll accept into record if there are no objections. And I'll ask the staff to go through the photographs.
Absolutely. This is the subject property. It is the existing home of Tiger Industrial, and they are preparing to build at a new, I believe it's 35,000 square feet structure. I'm sorry, 15,000. I'm sorry, wrong number. This is the subject site from the feeder road, or I'm sorry, this is Valentine, and then this is from the road. This is the proposed structure. And then this is the proposed site plan. So just a little clarification on what they're requesting here. Typically, anytime there is a parking lot installed, there is landscaping and screening requirements for that parking lot. As you saw, most of this site is already existing concrete, so instead of tearing up concrete and putting in grass, they're asking for lava rock and cacti, which is not part of our approved landscaping plan. And they're also asking for a waiver to the irrigation system that is required to maintain landscaping, since they are asking not to install it. We did send out 17 property owner notices and received 12 in favor of the request with no comment, so.
Okay, that sounds like our job just got easy.
Okay. For clarification though, we're, the only, you mentioned that the landscaping proposed did not meet y'all's standard. We're not considering that. We're just considering the irrigation.
So y'all are, it is a request to the landscaping and irrigation requirements.
Okay. Okay. To approve the proposed landscaping and to request it to approve not,
The omission of the irrigation and the variance of what is approved typically of landscaping, yes.
thank you. If you would state your name and address and your relationship with the property. So it's compacted. Do y'all have to dig up at all though to be able to plant this blue agave cactus?
Basically paved.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, got you. But I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, it's a two-part request.
So, and I know it might be a redundant question, but so this blue agave cactus is supposed to be able to survive with minimal irrigation?
Correct, yes, sir. And I do want to reiterate that the owner is committed to maintaining the landscaping.
You have any questions for the
So the
applicant?
water line is on the south side of the building?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Make your connection?
Yes, sir. In that photo, the water line where we're going to make the tie-in is really at the back of the A, right there on Louisiana Street. And as you saw on that proposed site plan, the front of the building and the landscaping is almost to the feeder road. So we would have to put that irrigation on its own separate meter, its own separate feed and everything to that landscaping. So it would be a whole separate run to that landscaping.
Answer your question. Any other questions? If none, thank you.
I
Sir?
do,
Yes, sir.
I noticed you said, large lava rock. Is that for,
If I said large lava rock, I misspoke. So it's blue agave cactus and like what they're calling a black lava rock. So it's a smaller black gravel, if you will, that's going to be in that landscaping bed.
okay, and so like during, some issues of heavy rainfall, I know that feeder road becomes inundated. How would you keep those?
So as it sits right now, we're committed to maintain we're not changing the water flow. As far as and there's a very minimal amount of landscaping right there. So I guess would you repeat your question? I mean, as far as how are we going to capture that?
Right, how would you keep your objects in your, I guess, proposed area?
Okay,
from
so it will
flooding
be,
that?
it's gonna be almost, it's gonna sit up in a curb, so it'll be concrete around it, it'll be in an island, if you will, on a concrete island.
Gotcha.
Questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for y'all's time.
We'll close the public hearing for PZ 2024-152. Discussion. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve PZ 2024-152.
So moved.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If you would call the roll for a vote.
Chairman Bieber,
For it.
Board Member Rowe,
Four.
Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
alternate Board Member Jones.
For it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is file PZ 2024-175 to consider a request for a variance to the minimum front yard setback and pavement setback requirements in a residential zoning district. Applicant is Juan Escato for 3735 Park Street. And as I said earlier, and I forgot to ask the first two applicants, you have the option to defer your item to next month's agenda if you prefer to, since we only have 4 board members. Okay. That said, we have the staff report. Everybody's reviewed it. I'd like to accept that into record,
Yes.
and I'll ask the staff to go through her photographs.
Thank you. On the screen is the subject property. Subject property with a completed carport and pavement. In just a separate angle. And a image of the site plan, or I'm sorry, of the survey as provided after all the concrete was poured. Staff mailed out 26 property owner notices. We did not receive any in response. We did receive a number of phone calls, but after explaining what the request was, nobody wanted to make comment. Any questions?
So go back to the carport. It's the one that the blue car is under that we're
Yes, sir.
talking about.
And additionally, if you, just as a reminder on the staff report, it is also a request to the pavement allowance. So not only for the carport, but we're also looking at the pavement, as pavement is required to be 2 feet off the property lines. I don't think we quite met that on the right side of the property.
And that's the home with the brick facade wrap or something?
If you're looking at the screen, the way the blue car is facing, the right side of the property.
Gotcha.
So the subject says to request a variance to the minimum front yard setback and pavement setback.
Correct.
Typically, we would talk about from like the last one from 25 feet to 14 feet or 2 times ago.
And that was, so the subject lines have been very minimal. The request is detailed out in the actual staff report. It does read from a 25-foot to 14-foot, which was provided by the applicant, and then from the pavement for 2 feet from 0, or I'm sorry, from 2 feet to 0.
You'll see that in there. Okay.
So go back to the survey. Cover, the 14 feet doesn't work. I mean, we would have to just get him to 0. Covered area.
And you can make that change. When we write the reports, we write what's given to us from the applicants.
What he's saying?
It looks like it's sticking out into the right of way.
Yeah, it does. And so it's there, it's not obstructing anything, but 14 feet would be in error, Jeff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Can we go back to the picture? Pavement to the right, when you're looking at it, he's right on the property line, isn't he?
That is why the request is to 0.
0.
And again, like I said, when we sent out the notices, we did not receive response. We did get calls. And after explaining the notices, there were no comments made.
No. And we don't do the job. I know started this, I tried to help the homeowner. That job probably is already done like 9 months ago. So this, I tried to help him to pull it up all over the premise. We talked to the neighbors because in your left side, it's like a brick, like tree fill to the road, so nobody walk right there. And the right side to you, yeah, but this tried to help the homeowner to get it, to try to get the permit.
Yes, Mr. Escato was brought onto the job after the fact whenever one of our building inspectors noticed the work, and he came in to try to help rectify the issue.
I mean, he's right on the
So go to that other slide showing the site plan, please. So if I'm looking at that correctly, it's indicating the pavement, the concrete, and the carport itself are extending out into the right of way almost 2 feet, 1.84 or something like that.
So that's what I see, 1.84.
I guess my question is, can we even consider allowing?
So I did send this over to our engineering department, who is they are the ones that kind of enforce that. And when speaking with them, they looked at it in terms of a driveway would cross. They said as long as it's not obstructing the ditch and there's no cause of water flow obstruction, they had no objection. Yes, sir.
Go back to the picture.
Yeah, to that picture.
Is that his water meter right there?
I am,
Look like his water meter.
there?
Yeah.
Like a water meter.
Okay, what happens if they have to go in there with that water line, where, I don't know if the water line across the street, whatever, and, yeah.
If
He'll have to
there's,
cut his parking, he'll have to cut his driveway.
Wait, that's what I'm saying.
but that would be the homeowners.
yeah, anytime there's work like that, that encroaches, it would not be,
That's on that side of the meter.
From the meter to the
the back of the
street
meter is to
is the
the-
city, from the
right.
meter to the house is
Yeah.
homeowner.
Right, yeah.
So that one is gonna be in the homeowner. If he got issues, he had to fix it.
Correct. And so is that a sidewalk on the
Yeah.
other side? Okay.
That one is like also like, that one is all, that one is already being over there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And is that a public provided sidewalk? Is that like?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you look, and all over that street, got like a little sidewalk, but some of it have it, some of it no. And the left side is like a tree completely filled to the street, so nobody cross over there.
Okay.
And, sir, before we move on, can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Juan Escoto, and I'm the owner of the Escoto Tower Remodeling. My address is 760 Randall Circuit, Beaumont, Texas.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you something.
So you said engineering has looked at this and
yes, I did send it over to our engineering department.
it just, if the variance is granted, then that's gonna satisfy them. Okay,
We just need to change that,
well,
25 to 14 is not right.
no.
Has to be to 0.
I would,
That's what I was.
let's, before we get into that, let's give the applicant an opportunity to say anything else he'd like to say.
I mean, the only thing, is like I talked to the homeowner next time, when you have to do something, you have to verify when the city, and you have to make sure whoever contractor you use it, pull it out the permits, and to make sure you don't got any problems. Because, I mean, probably the inspector passed or somebody called, because that one is already done like 9 months ago. It's like if we got a little properties and we have to do roof, no matter, I pull it up permit. I mean, and it's the only, like I say, the only I try to help the homeowner because that's the only.
You have any questions?
No, sir, not for the witness.
Well, he'd get that sidewalk, the city sidewalk is in there. Well, that's just what they.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So that'll close the public hearing on PZ 2024-175. Y'all need to have any discussion, or is somebody ready to make a motion?
I can make a motion if you want me to.
I would, yeah, the language wouldn't be what's written.
No, I'm gonna stay it
Sure.
this way. Make a motion, to approve, file PZ 2024-175 and change the minimum front yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet and the minimum pavement setback from 2 foot to 0 feet to allow the previously constructed carport and driveway to remain.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? You'll call the roll for the vote?
Chairman Beaver,
For?
Board Member Rowe,
Or
Board Member Sorrell, alternate Board Member Jones.
Or,
Thank you.
Pass. Thank you. Next item on our agenda. Make sure I've got this. Is file PZ 2024-179 to consider a request for a variance to the minimum rear yard setback requirement in a commercial zoning district. The applicant is Haney Tomei. The location is 3310 Concord Road. We have the staff report. If there are any objections or questions, if not, we'll accept the staff report for the record. And I'll let,
On the screen is the subject property, the existing Sunrise gas station. Sunrise gas station from the side so that you can see, again, the request, they would like to leave this store open and operating while they construct the new store, which is what's prompting the request for variance. On the site plan, as you can see here, the new store would be constructed in the rear portion. They would use construction fencing to separate it out while the existing store still operates. But because the existing store will remain, they don't have enough space to meet the minimum rear setback. And the applicant is not present. I'm sorry, yes, 15. 15, yes. 15, yes, I'm sorry. GCMD, General Commercial Multiple Family Dwelling. Because it would be considered a rear lot line. The interior sides are 5, but because this is a true rear lot line, it would be 15.
and the rear lot is, the lot behind it is in the same zoning.
Yes, sir.
And on that one, it would be
It'd be
considered
a
a side.
side setback, so it'd be a 5-foot setback on that side. There will be landscaping and screening that will be required, yes.
Along that rear line,
Oh, I'm sorry, no, along that rear line, there will not be a buffering requirement, no. GCMD, abutting GCMD. Now, if this was residential, yes, there would be a 10 to 30-foot buffer
that's what I was
requirement.
gonna say, is it GCMD on the other side as well?
It's GCMD.
Can you go back to, one of the pictures, please?
Yes.
And so,
The
within this, the fenced off section that they're,
new store would be constructed within that fenced off section, correct?
and do you by chance have the, adjacent, property, the adjacent commercial property that we can see? Or an area?
I don't have an image of the adjacent commercial property, but you can see here.
Okay.
So further down Concord, I believe it's a old car wash that I don't think is operational at this time. And then down Pope, I actually believe that is a residence.
Is it residence
you-
by?
I think it might be a commercial business down Pope.
Okay, I say it's definitely zoned commercially. Either way.
I know once you go further down Pope, it does turn it and get closer to, what's that, Cleveland? It does turn to residential.
Yes. But for here today, our request is the 5-foot rear. That would be required for 15.
So you sent out 10 notices. Did you receive any?
We received no notices in response.
I don't know.
There's nobody here representing the applicant?
No, sir.
Okay. And unless y'all have any other questions for staff, we'll close the public hearing on PZ 2024-179.
So it's one question. There's no residence behind this, right?
Not immediately behind it, no, sir.
No, they,
That's-
Okay, I guess I need to reopen the public hearing to ask a question of staff.
Yes, sir. This is everything I was given.
I'm sorry, Ms. Rowe, would you mind turning on your mic? Thank you.
Not at
Don't have
this
anything
time.
to see.
Do you know, within that 5 foot, if it's granite, can they put anything such as the HVAC equipment or anything?
So what I can say is in GCMD, it has the same requirement of pavement. Pavement would be required to be 2 feet off. I'm not sure the typical size of an HVAC outdoor unit. I'm sure y'all are probably a little more versed in that than I am. But whatever the size of that unit would be, that pavement would have to be at least the 2 feet off. But then, yes.
Where's he gonna set his dumpster?
It was not included. There is an existing dumpster on site
Right.
here, and we did have a pre-development meeting, which is what prompted this variance request. The dumpster will eventually have to be in an enclosure as it's non-compliant.
So my understanding, if this variance is granted, it allows them to go to construct the permanent commercial building to within 5 feet of the rear property line.
Yes, sir.
And that's all it's granting. Anything else that would happen back there would be up to the other city requirements, and they would have to meet the other city requirements. Any other questions for staff?
would you, like to, I guess like recommend that we postpone this one to next month, being that the applicant isn't present?
That would be up to you.
Can we do that?
Yes. A motion would need to be made to table the item. But yes, if that is the will of the commission, you could do so.
Can do that?
Yes, like she said, if the motion is to table instead of to approve or deny, then that would be what would result in this one. If a motion is made to either approve or deny, then you'd run into the issue of a decision being made. So the best thing to do would probably be to avoid either one of those motions and go with a motion to table instead.
That's a good idea, Chris, if you would like to make that motion.
Yes, sir. I would like to motion that we table item file number PZ 2024-179 for next month's meeting.
And I second it.
All in favor of the motion to table this item?
I will go ahead and take a roll call vote,
You will?
please.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman Bieber,
I'm for it.
Board Member Rowe, Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
alternate Board Member Jones.
For it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Sir.
Okay, the last item on our agenda is file PZ 2024-181 to consider a request for a variance to the minimum side yard setback requirement in a residential zoning district. The applicant's John Limbrick, and the location is 2680 Dauphine Place. We have a copy of the staff report, which if there's no objection, we'll accept into the record. And we'll look at the photographs, and then we'll let the applicant talk after.
Come on up, you're good. On the screen, this is the subject property. The current access for the property is on Mercantile instead of Dauphine. The front of the structure does face Dauphine. Okay, this is the front of the structure. We included this picture just for a little clarification. I'm going to go to the site plan and then I'm going to come back to this picture. The site plan here, if you see the little black dot on the right side of the screen, just above where it says 120, that is the location of the brick pillar of the fence. Mr. Limbrick would like to align the carport post with the brick pillar of his fence so that it sits continuously. He doesn't want to inset it the 2.5 feet, which was his original plan. And then whenever he began to lay out the design, he didn't like the way visually that it laid out on his property. So the black dot of the line of the fence is where he would like to put the post of the carport. The post, the structural supports of the carport.
And that post is on that property line.
So that is a utility easement that runs between there. He did inform me the last time I spoke with him that it just so you're aware, it will have gutters on the carport as well. Mm-hmm.
It'd hang over.
This post, the structural support, or is it gonna be a brick support or
No, it will be a metal support.
metal pole?
A metal support, yes, sir. He just wanted it to line up with his fence. And as you, on the site plan, you can see that he does intend to install a secondary driveway. The concrete itself will sit the 2 feet off for the initial approach. And then the carport will just, he wanted to line up the post with his fence.
So, like Board Member Rowe mentioned, the eaves is going to hang into this utility easement, correct?
From my understanding of how these carports are constructed, yes.
Mr. Jones, and the problem with that is that he may say there's an easement on his neighbor's property, but that's a property line if we go back and look at that.
Yeah, that's
Sir,
what I
that's
was
what I'm
looking at.
Yeah, it's actually a lot, so it's not just an easement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
That's a homeowner's property line. That's a property line.
Because when we're talking about setbacks, we're talking about if it were a building to the slab or the wall, even though the roof would be further out.
Correct.
Carport, we're talking about the structure part.
We're talking about the supports, yes.
Roof could overhang. If we were on the property line, it would be overhanging
Somebody else's
Correct.
property.
property.
Somebody
and
else's
that's our-
property.
That's our concern that we're
Correct.
talking about.
And then I do apologize, I missed one step. We did send out 19 property owner notices. We received one in response. It was not in favor of the request. It says residential neighborhood, not commercial property.
So if they chose to build this 2 foot off of their, or I guess it'd be 5 foot off.
Because it would be a 5 foot, because it is a,
But to do anything closer to the property line than 5 foot requires a variance.
if this was in the rear yard, totally in the rear yard, that is where the 2.5 foot rule applies. But this is in a front yard.
Does anybody have any questions for staff?
Just before we go forward, we want to make sure that this lady has made an election as to whether or not she wants to have this hearing go to the future or if she wants to have it today. So if we can just do that on the record real fast before we continue going forward.
So what he's referring to is with only 4 of us, we all have to be in favor or it won't pass. Whereas if there were 5 of us, 1 could be in opposition. So if you would like to postpone it till next month when we should have 5 members, you're welcome to do that.
Okay, because I'm standing in for him. He had to go to work because a truck came in for him to unload, so I really don't know that much about it. I'm his mother, and he asked me to come in and stand in for him.
Well,
So,
if you think he would prefer to be here, then you're welcome to ask us to postpone it.
okay, well, I'd rather for him to be here.
Okay.
Okay,
We will
thank you.
postpone file PZ 2024-181 for 1 month to next month's agenda.
Okay.
Chase, is that sufficient, or would you like a motion?
We have to.
Let's go ahead and do a motion just so we have it.
Motion to table, please.
Okay,
I make a motion that we table file PZ 2024-181.
second?
Second.
Chairman Beaver,
I'm for the motion.
Board Member Rowe,
Or
Board Member Sorrell,
Or
alternate Board Member Jones.
Or
Thank you.
So there being no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion we adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. Give her the opportunity to